Wisdom Podcast.
Welcome to the Wisdom Podcast, otherwise known as the Wisdom of Earth Podcast. I'm your host, Storm, and today joining me is Charlotte Alcala, who is a hypnotherapist hailing from Molawe, near Zamboanga, Philippines.
Yeah.
What is the best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
Be true to yourself. Be authentic to yourself. Because you're not gonna lose yourself if you know yourself better than anyone else. So it's just be authentic and stay true. That's it.
I love how you kept it simple. Do you mind expounding on that? For the people that don't really know how to be authentic, what's a practice that you can do to be more authentic?
I always ask myself, am I acting out of love or out of fear? Because sometimes if you act out of fear, it means that someone or something is telling you not to do it. But if you ask yourself, am I acting out of love? So it means I'm connecting to my heart. And that's where you're being authentic. And that's where you wanna do it for people. Not because you're just scared, you have fear of being rejected, and you're scared not to be yourself. So when you do things, when you are authentic with yourself, and you ask yourself, okay, do I really want to go to that party? Or do I really want to go to that birthday? Am I acting out of love? Do I really want to be there with a person? Or I want to be there because I don't want that person to reject me. I don't want that person to, I want a person to be disappointed with me. But how about yourself? Do you really want to go there? So that's my practice of every time I do a lot of things, deciding things, doing things for myself, doing things for people, I always ask myself, am I acting out of love or out of fear? That's a simple question, but it changes a lot in me and my decisions with life.
Wow. That is so deep. I used to have a
Yes.
habit of people pleasing and always trying to, I think I grew up with, wanting more support from my parents. So I think it shows up also in my relationships,
It is.
always wanting to be liked by people.
Yes.
And there has been some times where I overgave too much.
Yes.
So how do you find the balance of that? Of wanting to be of service to other people and making sure that you're also honored with your energy?
I always connect to if I am a person who is full of love, how I'm gonna be in service of people. I always connect to what's within my heart, but not people gonna tell me if I do this. What will people gonna think of me if I do this? But then I always connect to my heart of am I doing this because I want it? Am I doing this because I love doing it? Not because people want me to do it. Do I really want to do it within me? So that's how I truly connect to all the decisions in my life, since I have that questions, and also since I always connect to myself of giving service to people. Because sometimes, of course, being a hypnotherapist, I also needed time for myself to recharge. But if I give that service out of love, I will not be drained. Because I'm not overextending. I am just sharing. There's no overextending happening. There's no more too much giving of self happening. Because I'm overflowing, that's where I can give out of love, but not out of validation. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So really it's about filling your own cup first
Yes.
and making sure that you're overflowing
Yes.
enough to give.
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
It's easy to say, but it's a lot of practice. It's a 1 million times of choosing yourself over and over again until you get that feeling of okay, now I'm sticking to my truth. I am me, I am me.
Wow. So you're one of the people that I know was hugely affected by the storm back in, was it 2021?
21.
Yeah, there was a storm in 2021 that hit Siargao Island, and I know that it impacted you a lot. Can you tell me about your process?
So, yeah, we got hit by the typhoon December 16, 2021. Me and my ex was building a house, and we were supposed to transfer maybe a month or two. So it's almost finished. And then typhoon happens and everything was just gone. All the dreams and hopes of having a family, of having whatever you can have for a, like normal life that you can dream of. Like having a stable family, having a house, and just be together. And then typhoon happened. We were both so stressed, and we broke up. Lose everything. I lose my job, and unfortunately, I got pregnant. And I didn't know because I was so stressed with the typhoon. So that hugely impacted me mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. That I literally need to leave the island because the island is destroyed and I am destroyed as well. I just couldn't take it anymore. So I need to leave the island. And I went to Lanuza. And that's where I don't even know anyone in Lanuza as well. But they actually accepted me fully. And that's where I started to believe in God again. On that time. Because sometimes when you're too much, when your life is too perfect and you actually forget being grateful of what you have. Because I'd stayed here during the COVID, and then typhoon happened, so it's like it's taking out everything you have in order for you to go back on that faith again.
Wow.
And so yeah, that hugely impacted me in that sense. But I found myself because of that.
Wow, you found yourself. So what does finding yourself mean for you?
After the typhoon, when I told you, like, I got pregnant, I was full of anger. I was full of hate. I was full of like, why is it happening to me? I lost everything. Like, what else you want me to do? I was blaming the world. I was so angry with the world. I was so angry with my ex. I was just so angry with God or whoever it is who done to me. Like, I've literally lost everything. Like, I have nothing. Like, literally nothing. And then I got pregnant. I was just like, no, I cannot be a mother like this. I just couldn't be a mother like this. I was just full of anger, and I don't want to be a mother that's giving that angry energy to that baby. And so I bumped into this article, and this article said, like, you're gonna have the same soul, even if it doesn't matter who's the father is, but it's going to come back with the same soul. So I took it out. I talked it out with my baby, and I said, like, I'm sorry, I cannot be a mother like this. I cannot pass my trauma to you. I cannot pass my anger to you. And I promise you, if you come back, you're gonna have the best mother, you're gonna have the best father, you're gonna have the best family. And that's why I assure you. And few weeks after, it was gone by itself. And from there, that's where I started to, like, okay, I promised myself to be a better person. I promised myself to connect to that feeling of being loved and knowing myself better. So when I found myself, it took me I went to therapy, hypnotherapist, breathwork, ayahuasca, vipassana, and it was a lot of process to truly found myself. And I'm still learning myself until now. But now, it's all about learning about myself, the good side of it, and loving myself and accepting the darkness in me. That it used to be part of me, and sometimes it's going to be a part of me, but I'm going to accept it because it's part of me. It makes me who I am right now. So that's finding myself. Like, it's not going to be an easy process, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's worth it to be in your own skin, to love your own skin, to love your own body, to love who you are, to love your values, to connect to your values, to connect to who you are, your mindset and everything. So,
wow, I'm really grateful for your vulnerability here because, knowing the Philippine culture, how it's like, there'd probably be a lot of moms that are going crazy right now if they heard this.
That's true.
And
There's no abortion in the Philippines.
can you speak more about this? Like, I mean, what are your beliefs and like whys? You can share that.
So, in what sense were we the wise?
I guess it's just like why women should have the right to choose, and why do you feel it's good that women have a right to choose?
For me, for my personal opinion, because women, we carry the baby for 9 months. So whatever we feel, the baby will feel it as well. And imagine if me having that baby for 9 months with full of anger, the baby doesn't deserve that. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know where is my anger coming from. But then she's absorbing everything. She's feeling everything as well inside the womb. And that's why if you are not ready to have a baby, because the society tells you to have a baby, it's so unfair for the baby to receive all of that. And having a choice to be like a mother, like giving a woman to have a choice of a mother, because our body will be destroyed. I mean, in that sense, like, you know, you have a lot of cellulites, you get fat, you have hormones, you have a lot of mood swings and everything. And it's not the man who's carrying that, it's the woman. And 80% of the time, if you deliver the baby, 80% of the time, the mother is carrying that. The mother is taking care of the baby. So, to be honest, we have the right to voice it out of like, if we want to have the baby or not. Just for yourself, and also for that innocent human being that you bring to the earth, if you're not capable of. So, yeah, like you just don't want to experience what you experience if, you know, it's a choice, I mean. But then society is telling us it's wrong to do that. Sometimes it's the society telling us, it's like, hey, you should get a baby, blah, 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 and get pressured with it.
I can definitely relate in some way. I mean, it's kind of different, but there are 2 times on the island where I actually chose to kill something. Like, one time I saw this snake, and some guy like hit the snake and just left it out on the street. Like, and it was like dying, and ants were eating it. And yeah, I felt so sad because it was like, I could just feel it suffering and just like it being like a slow, gruesome death by ants. And so like, I went to the kitchen, I took out like the biggest knife that I saw, and I said a prayer for it, and then I killed it. Yeah. And so it was like a time of compassion and also like acceptance of death for me. It's like very, it's not something that happens daily in modern life. So it was very, very interesting experience for me to be connected to that part of myself again.
Yeah. So imagine that kind of agony. You know, it's prolonging the agony if it didn't do that. So imagine if like a woman have a baby and the mother's just full of anger. Like, how would she expect to take care of the baby? And the baby didn't do anything. The baby doesn't deserve all of those, you know, angry energy from whatever the mother is carrying.
You seem like a completely different person from when you were before. And perhaps you can attribute that to some of the hypnotherapy that you've been doing.
It is.
I'm wondering, like, what are the main whys of hypnotherapy?
So the main whys of hypnotherapy is like, why is it important to do it? Because like, from my own personal experience, the reason why I actually wanted to do hypnotherapy is at first is like, I want to become a hypnotherapist at that time, but I haven't tried hypnotherapy yet. So I was watching a YouTube videos with Sadhguru because I'm starting to, you know, learn about stuff. And then I have this mentor, Marisa Peer, all of a sudden showed up on my YouTube videos, and she was talking about subconscious and patterns and trauma, like inner child, and, you know, where did you get all those patterns? Why it keeps on happening in your life? And I was like, this is interesting. So I applied to be a hypnotherapist, but then it was very expensive. And then I went to Bali, And then after I went to Bali, I was driving to Canggu to Ubud. It's like a 1 hour drive, and suddenly it rained on the highway or the intersection, and just suddenly froze because it brings me back to the typhoon.
Oh.
And I got it. That's my first time I got a really, really bad panic attack, an anxiety attack that I couldn't even breathe. Like I just froze. I was just paralyzed. And people was like, think. I was like, no, I can't. I feel like I'm dying.
Whoa.
And because it bring me back, it literally bring me back to like, oh, it's a typhoon, but it's not.
Mm.
So when my friend told me like, hey, you should see a therapist or a hypnotherapist. So that's where I work with my mentor as well. So we worked together. After 2 sessions, my PTSD was gone.
Oh, wow.
But I already applied to become a hypnotherapist, but I haven't felt the effect yet. And then when we had a session of my typhoon and PTSD, that's where I can tell like, oh, I'm gonna do it. I will become a hypnotherapist. And because of that, I told him like, hey, I have all of this guilt feeling, I have all this anger, I have depression, I have whatever we can work on. So I became a patient or a client first before I truly get into it. So I can feel what's the effect on it. I can feel how it feels to let go of that anger.
Mm.
I can feel how to be liberated with all the trauma that keeps on looping on your mind, telling you you're not enough, you're not worth it, you're just whatever, just a yaya, or you're just nothing, you're so ugly, or that kind of loop in my head that I'm not enough. And just going back to where it started, how it started, and that's the good thing about hypnotherapy. It's because it will put you to the hypnosis in a way that I can command your brain, your memory to like how it started, where it started, and why you have that kind of belief. So let's just, for example, I have a client who's trying to lose weight. She's trying to lose weight for 10 years. She tried everything, Ayurveda, keto, diet, exercise, or whatever she wanted to try. But then she lose weight for 3 months, and then she have the same weight again. So someone told her you should see someone working in the subconscious. And then when we found out when we were in the hypnotherapy, she was 5-year-old. She was beaten up so bad. I know her dad was beating up her mom so bad, and she was holding her mom's hand. And I was like, how does it connect to weight loss or her weight? And then I asked her, what was the belief of the 5-year-old? And she said, I want to be big in order for me to protect my mom. I want to be big in order for me to protect my loved ones. Because when you're a child, you don't have reasoning yet. Big is big for you, but you don't know what's strong, what's fat, how you can protect people. And she's just 5-year-old. And from there, she started to gain weight and be fat. Because for her, being big and fat is strong. So that's also one of the examples why hypnotherapy is good. Because it will really give you the reason, like how it started, how did I get this belief? And most of us, we feel that kind of fear that we don't even know where it's coming from. And once you understand where it's coming from, it's easy for you to let go. Some people can heal by just letting it go. But some people needs reasoning. Some people needs the reason why I have this. And that's the reason why it's good for you to do hypnotherapy. If the fear, it's too much for you not to move on with your life. Let's just say, for example, all of us have a $1 million idea. We all have that. But then what's stopping us is the fear of rejection. And the fear of rejection, before you can even create that business proposal, you already rejected yourself because you think it's not enough. Because you think like no one's going to believe me. Because you've been rejected many times in the past by your parents or whoever rejected you. And that's why if you have that very strong belief or very subconscious loop, trauma, drama, or whatever you have in your brain that's keeping looping on your mind, it's just time for you to break the patterns. And have the reason like where it started, how do you feel about it, and how you can reprogram it and give you a different perspective and meaning in order for you to understand it better.
Wow. Do you have like a case where you're most proud of, or it was like a wild change and difference in hypnotherapy? Are you open to sharing some of that? Maybe with anonymous?
For me?
It doesn't even have to be for you, but a case that you've experienced that's just like so interesting, and how like a person's life really changed after a session.
Mm-hmm. So to be honest, like 60 or 70% of my clients that are women have been sexually abused. But the problem is they couldn't talk about it, or they tried to talk about it when they were young, but the family ignored it, suppressed it, and they didn't even want to talk about it, and the child feels they are crazy. Because like, no, it didn't happen, or no one believes in them. So this client has been in depression for like 10 years, or almost 50, depression, like taking antidepressant and everything. And then we found out when she was 4 years old, she got sexually abused by her stepdad. And the worst thing in it, the mom saw it. And she saw her mom too. And she said like, "Mom, I need help. Help me." And the mom just walked away, pretending it didn't happen. Didn't.
Oh my God.
She didn't saw it. So the feeling of that child is she felt so betrayed that she couldn't even trust anyone. So every time she is in a relationship, she always have that betrayal feeling. Or she doesn't trust anyone. Because how could she trust anyone if her mom betrayed her? So imagine that feeling of growing up that I couldn't trust anyone. And since then, she was able to let go of that. And she was able to trust herself and starting to trust people. So yeah, there's a lot of women who actually wanted to talk about being sexually abused, denied by their parents, denied by their family that it didn't happen. And that's the worst thing, to be in that situation. When you think that you are crazy, you know that it happens, you know it.
So I'm curious, like, can you share with us in short what happens in hypnotherapy? Is it like, do you pull like a coin out and do you just like swing it left and right and snap your fingers 3 times?
No, we can use that. Some people still use that. That's also putting you into, because everything it's a focus. Meditation, when you focus on your breathing, you are under hypnosis already. That's why it's called therapy, because people put you into the hypnosis with guard down or relaxation state, a meditative state, in order for me to tell you to access that specific memory. And that's why we use it in a therapy. So what happened to hypnotherapy is I put you in a very meditative state. I will make your body so relaxed in order for me to ask you, to ask you where it started, where it's coming from. So what happened to hypnotherapy, my method, a lot of hypnotherapists uses a different method. But my method, I use you to connect to your body. Because the body remembers, and that's why we have a gut feeling. And the body stores a lot of emotions. And I asked you to connect to where is the anger coming from? Or where do you feel it in your body? And then once you feel it, you know it's true. Because you feel it. That's why we have diseases. Because it's pain. Or once you feel the pain, your brain cannot say nope, it didn't happen. Nope, it didn't happen. Or the brain cannot deny it because the body feels it. So once the body feels it, the body will tell the brain to hey, give this memory. But that's my own method.
Wow.
So that's why I call it also a body, mind, and reset technique. Because I connect the body and the mind to reset both of them in order for you to truly let go of it, nervous system, and also the mindset wise, and creating that neural pathways, a new one, or firing that up, or the happy memories, or whatever it is.
Wow, that's so interesting, because this reminds me of, in Indian philosophies, they call this samskaras. And they've been talking about this for centuries, but emotional blockages in the body that you can actually feel.
Yes.
And besides hypnotherapy, there are other amazing modalities that help with this, such
Yes.
as like yoga, bringing awareness into the body, and naturally you'll be able to feel these things in the body that perhaps you haven't felt before. And I also experienced this in a Vipassana
Yeah.
where I had some like,
Very uncomfortable feeling.
yeah, I had some dark energies like show up in my lower back and inside my neck. A mystical experience happened on the third day. Like I had this like blackness inside of my throat, and I was so annoyed at this blackness in my throat. And then I talked to the guru, because you can talk to the guru after the meditations, and I was like, I kept on asking like, what's happening? Like I have this blackness in my throat, and he said just keep on bringing awareness to it.
Yeah.
So I was bringing awareness. We finished the group meditation. I start walking back to the dorm, and then it was so weird, but I heard this voice in my head. It wasn't in my ear. It was like a voice in my head that said, honor your word. And then the blackness just disappeared and dissipated.
Wow.
So it was like, like a spiritual voice that talked to me to release. So it was a very interesting experience, how we can really feel into our bodies to release some of these things.
Yes, because our body stores a lot of emotions. And that's why sometimes when you're too much in mental, because we have the logical mind now, we have the reasoning mind. And that's why sometimes when we do therapy and we are more into logical, we created a lot of excuses. We created a lot of reasoning of like, yeah, I already forgive my dad. Yeah, I already forgive whoever who hurt you. But when you connect yourself to your body, like connect to it, and then their mind is just like, yeah, this is true. This happened. That it got stored somewhere in my body. And let's just say, for example, my client is trying to have a baby. So I was like, this is a very challenging client. This is like, but then I still took it in, and then we found out that she was one minute old, I guess, or 2 minutes old. And it was like, I wonder what happened when you're 2 minutes. Like her mother just delivered her. And then I was like, so I wonder what was the belief of the 2 minute old you. She was like, yeah, I've heard everyone is panicking. Everyone is panicking because my mom died because her mom died when she delivered her.
Oh.
And I was like, so for me, it's just like, how is it related to her wanting to have a baby? So I asked her, like, what was the belief of the 2 minute old you? And she said, like, I don't want to have a baby because I'm going to die. Because she wanted to be a mother. And if she become a mother, she's going to die. She have that subconscious belief that if she's going to get pregnant and she will deliver the baby, she will die.
Wow.
So I was like,
oh my gosh, that's interesting how you can like already start reprogramming your brain from 2 minutes old.
yes.
Or like how like memories can really go like, a lot deeper than one would expect.
God, I have a lot of crazy stories, even when they're still in the womb of their mother. Like, let's just say, for example, I have a client, she cannot say no to her mother. And her mother right now is very toxic. It's not good for her at all. She was like, I cannot say no to my mom. Like, I always wanted to be with her, to support her, blah, 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 and everything. She always said yes. She couldn't set boundaries to her mom, even though it's toxic, even though it's too much, even though her mother was just like betraying her, like making her a fool, like making her stupid. But she still want to do it. She just couldn't set boundaries. And I said, like, okay, let's do it. Let's figure it out. But I'm always curious, because I'm curious as well, like why you cannot set boundaries to your mother. Even your mother stole money from you and do this and do that. So we found out when she was like 4 months old, her dad was beating her mom so bad that she felt the pain and anger while she's inside the womb. And I was like, okay. And what was the belief of the 4-month-old baby inside the womb of your mother? And she said, I promised my mother that I'm going to protect her. I promised my mother that whatever happens, I'm gonna protect her. I'm gonna always be there for her. What was the consciousness of the 4-month-old baby inside the womb? So she ingrained that promise. She didn't even born yet on that time. So she ingrained that promise that she's gonna protect her mom. She's gonna do everything for her mom until she gets old. And that's where you do the reprogramming, so you can release and let go of it. And that's the good thing about hypnotherapy, because it can access whatever you can access. In this lifetime, whatever lifetime you want to access.
Wow. This also is so interesting. It reminds me of a story. There was this woman who got like a heart transplant.
Mm-hmm.
As in, she really changed her heart. And she had a dream that this guy killed her. She kept on having this recurring dream that this guy killed her.
Mm-hmm.
And so she ended up going to the police and like drawing this guy's face.
Wow.
And it was so interesting because they actually matched the face to one of the people in the town.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy ended up confessing to the murder of the person who originally had the heart.
Oh, wow.
So there was this girl that got murdered by a guy, and they were able to transplant that girl's heart to another
her.
person. And that other person called out the murderer.
Damn.
So it's interesting, you know, it's not just our brains that are holding memories, but even our cells and our hearts
Everything.
can hold memories.
Everything. So that's why they said, like, you can carry trauma for 7 generations. And sometimes when you do the healing, it's not only you that you've been releasing all that trauma. So during Vipassana, I've done Vipassana as well. And I've saw the mother of the mothers of my mother's side, like the grandmother, maybe 3 generations, and also the mother of the mothers of my fathers. And then my mom died when I was 7. So she literally talked to me and she said, thank you for releasing, thank you for releasing all of this pain, because through you we were able to release all of this pain. And also thank you because of you, because through you we are also receiving love. And I was like, wow. So somewhere, whatever dimension it is, they all exist. We are all one. So whatever you're doing, whatever healing that you're going through, you're actually releasing that from your mother and whatever generation that you got it from. And also because you are receiving love, they are receiving love as well. And yes, that's the power of like healing. So once you are just the one who is the, what do you call that? Generational breaker or cursed or something.
Yeah, breaking the generational curse.
Yes, breaking the generation cursed. And it's not going to be easy, but it's, if you are being chosen on this lifetime to do it, then it means that you can do it. And you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast, you probably aren't alone. Like, you're already looking for your tribe. You're already looking for the solutions that are all around you and within you.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm so grateful because, you know, really the last 2 years I've been really connecting with community and wisdom keepers, and it's so beautiful that we're able to come together and talk like this and speak about issues that normally are brushed under the rug.
Yes.
And so it's important to talk about these things and help process it within ourselves. So in our own healing, we can inspire others to do the same.
Yes. And especially like sometimes when you feel that you are in the darkness, you feel that you are alone. Because you think that no one actually understands you. And then because when I was in Bali, I was alone. Like I don't have family, I don't have friends, I don't know anyone. And then when I was going through that darkness and depression, I always asked myself, please, give me the resilience to be the resiliency to be okay and to carry this and to get out from this, and give me the guidance and the support. And people just randomly come out of nowhere. You just need to ask. And if ever you are going through the darkness, ask for that resilience and support and guidance, because sometimes we forget to ask and we think that we can do it alone. Like even me as a hypnotherapist, I'm just only the front face. But behind my back, I have my therapist, I have hypnotherapists, I have my friends, I have my mentor, I have an amazing friends who's backing me up on this journey. I'm not just it's not a one-man job. I'm not alone going through the sessions of people. I'm not alone on this one, because I have all the people at my back or beside me, like, pushing me to go through this, or like guiding me or supporting me, like, hey Charlotte, let's do it. And if ever you are in the darkness right now, do not hesitate to ask help. Do not hesitate to ask for support. And you'll be surprised, like you'll be given ways of support that the universe will give you. And all you need to do is ask. And don't forget to ask, because you're not alone on this world. Somewhere in the part of the world, there's always going to be people who is dealing the same thing as you. There's always going to be the same people who actually done it. And they're there to remind you that what you're going through right now is normal. Go through it, feel it, and whatever you need, I'm always here for you. Because sometimes we don't need an advice. We only need for us to feel safe, that whatever I'm going through right now, it's gonna be temporary. And that's all we need to hear. Like, I know that you're going through something. And most of us, when people are in a depression, our friends are gonna tell us, like, just give over it. Just get over it. Easily, like, go out, exercise, blah, blah, blah. Like, but all they needed, when you have friends that are going through something in the dark times, all they needed is just one text or one message, like, hey, I know that you've been going through a lot, but in case you need someone, I'm always here for you. Don't push them to do things, because they're going to get out of it when they're ready. It's just like someone, let's just say, you've seen a car crash or an accident, and the person have a broken bones. Are you gonna say just get over it? No, right? Because it's a physical, you can see it. But when the person is wounded spiritually, emotionally, and it's inside, you need to treat them as if they are healing in a physical form. And that's what we normally overlook too. Because we think when the person is having depression, when the person is going through the darkness, you can easily say just get over it. But actually they are so wounded that they need time to heal. And all they need is just a support for them to, like, hey, whatever you need, if you need food or whatever you need, I'm just here. And we all need to, I guess people needs to hear about that. People need to talk about that. Because with me being here in the island, I've talked to many friends here, or to people, and they're actually going through the same thing. Most of them. Siargao is been in a different kind of healing and journey right now, and most of them are they going through the same thing, but they just didn't want to talk about it. So whatever you're going through right now, ask for guidance, ask for help, message friends, like, hey, if ever you're going through something, I'm here. You never know. You can send that to 10 people right now. You never know. You'll be surprised of what they're going through. You just never know.
Wow. I'm curious now, is there any perhaps projects or anything upcoming that you want to share with viewers? Maybe something that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I'm actually, my next project is, I am waiting for my certification for breathwork. So I can infuse breathwork and hypnosis at the same time, because breathwork is so good in connecting your body. It's so good in releasing that emotions that has been stuck in there. and you can feel it. You can push it. And if it's mixed with hypnotherapy, if it's mixed with hypnotherapy, let's just say while you're doing the breath work, you want to release anger. It's only releasing, but it's not reprogramming. So with the hypnotherapy, I'm going to reprogram you what you are releasing, how you're going to release it in a right way, and give you a different perspective. So you can forgive yourself, you can release it in a way, and you can minimize it. Because sometimes when we're doing the releasing of emotions through the body, it's going to come back again after 3 months, after 6 months. You're going to have that again. But if with a mix of hypnosis or hypnotherapy or reprogramming your mind, that same feeling or anger is no longer there. So that's going to be my next project, is to have a hypnotic breathwork in the island.
Wow.
If I'm going to come back, well, I'm going to come back.
Nice.
And that's my next project.
Cool. So
yeah,
perhaps we can do some in home. That would be really lovely.
I would love to share it.
Nice.
Yes,
So
I can't wait for that.
yes. So, do you have any last words for viewers?
For any last words, like whatever you're going through right now, everything is temporary. Don't go through it alone. If ever you needed help, please do not hesitate to message your friend, because struggles are lighter when you share it. Like, don't feel that you are going through this alone, because we are never ever alone in this world. And that's all I wanted to say to everyone. Like, please don't go through it alone.
Yeah, and I might add to that too. Like, it's important to be vulnerable with friends that actually inspire you.
Yeah.
Because there are some people, if you're vulnerable to them, they might even put you down.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to also make friends that inspire you, that have a life that you can see some qualities that you want to embody in that friend. So, and be vulnerable with them if they're open to receiving. We're all connected.
Yes, and always ask for guidance. That's it. Always ask for the universe. The universe is very generous. You just need to know how to ask, and it will be given to you.
Wow. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Charlotte, for joining the Wisdom Podcast. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Once again, it's Charlotte Alcala. Make sure to follow her Instagram for more juicy info on hypnotherapy. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you feel called, please share this to a friend, share this to a loved one. May all beings be happy and free.
Yes, thank you, everyone.